Please allow me to begin with a prayer. Heavenly Father, we begin with gratitude. Gratitude for breath in our lungs, for the quiet strength that still holds us upright, for the simple mercy that we are here, together, seeking light. Lord, we will not pretend. The world feels heavy. The news feels relentless. Innocent lives are caught in the crossfire of power, and our hearts ache. We confess that many of us feel numb, exhausted, and almost defeated by what we see. But your word reminds us the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. So today, we ask not for escape, but for endurance, not for blindness, but for clarity, not for numbness, but for courage. Guard our hearts from becoming hardened. Protect us from the temptation to shut down, to stop caring, to let outrage turn into indifference. Help us to grieve without losing hope. Help us to speak truth without losing compassion. Help us to stand firm without becoming consumed by anger. Where there is destruction, plant mercy. Where there is propaganda, raise discernment. Where there is fear, breathe courage, O Lord. Where children are suffering, surround them with protection and comfort beyond what we can see. And within us, O Lord, keep the flame alive. Do not let the darkness train us to shrink. Do not let evil convince us that goodness is naive. Make us steady. Make us into steady lights in our homes, in our words, in our communities. If we must feel the weight, let it deepen our humanity, not diminish it. If we must walk through shadow, let us walk carrying light. Strengthen those who are afraid. Comfort those who are grieving. Awaken those who feel numb. And anchor us in the quiet truth that darkness never has the final say. We will not be overcome by it. We will let our light shine. In your holy name, we pray. Amen.
pieces were hiding behind the crates beneath the desert sun. I had a marble blue as a summer gin, and a wooden plane that taught me how to run. We laughed until the shadow started stretching long. Mama hummed a soft and steady song, but the stars didn't fall, they came down in fire. The screams replaced the wind in the wire. In the blink of a heartbeat, the world came apart and left only silence inside of my heart. Why do the grown men play with the thunder while we left to pull the pieces from under?
The sky is a different color now, a heavy gray. The playground is a skeleton of steel. I wake up reaching for the light of day, but the coldness is the only thing that's real. I saw the visitors with the heavy eyes, who looked at us and couldn't hide their sighs.
Oh, for the eagle, oh, for the gold, for stories of power that never grow old. They profit from shadows, they profit from pain, while we're counting drops in the blackest of rain. But I still have my marble, blue as the sea. They can break the walls, but they can't take me. But the stars didn't fall, they came down in fire. The screams replaced the wind in the wire. In the blink of a heartbeat, the world came apart and left only silence inside of my heart. Why do the grown men play with the thunder while we're left to pull the pieces from under? Yesterday I was a child, today I am a witness. I just want to go home.
Imagine being a teenager today. I'm sure some of you can't imagine it, and some of you are very happy you're not. And there might be a few that would love to go back to those years. But imagine if you were a teenager today, scrolling through endless bad news, wars, social media drama, and feeling like the adults in charge have forgotten you. On World Teen Wellness Day, I want to tell you about the organizations Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, have chosen to stand beside. Because that tells you who they think should never be forgotten. You get it right, young people. Welcome. This is Majesty Sussex Report, and I'm Antonio. Thank you for spending some of your valuable time here with us. Don't go anywhere.
Show up, do good. That's how the fire starts. One light, one voice, one beating heart. Be kind, be brave, let the fear fall away. You are the change we need today. We showed up and did good. Now join us and let's change the world.
Welcome once again. I was debating whether or not to say anything about these quite sad and moronic headlines. I think perhaps one of the most outrageous things that I've heard this past week or last week was that certain lavatory or lavatory, I think, is quite adequate for a person like her. I think first name is Angela. Angela, she had the audacity to say that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex somehow was mingling with Hamas. It's there is something almost theatrical about the outrage. It is barbaric almost, I think. Prince Harry and Meghan traveled to Jordan at the invitation of the World Health Organization. They met injured children. They sit with displaced families. They highlight youth trauma and mental health recovery. And what does a segment of the British press produce? Disaster tourist, PR stunt, using sick children as props, quasi-royal tour, drifters and fakes. And they repeat the same things over and over. There's nothing new in what they say. You would think they had arrived with a red carpet and a marching band rather than notebooks and hospital badges. Notice what disappears in this coverage. The children disappear, the trauma disappears, the World Health Organization disappears, the actual work disappears. In its place, a familiar reflex: diminish, delegitimized, deride. It is a peculiar moral inversion. When a prince is entangled with J.E., a convicted SA, and pays millions to settle a civil case to a woman supposedly he never met and doesn't know. The language for him, however, becomes cautious, legalized, restrained. When another prince visits injured children and speaks about youth mental health, the language becomes feral. That contrast does not need embellishment. It indicts itself. The accusation that they are private citizens on a quasi-royal tour is particularly revealing. Since when did compassion require a government mandate? Since when did a humanitarian invitation from the WHO require Buckingham Palace permission slip? And the charge that they should do good quietly, don't be noticed. It is a curious demand in an age when awareness drives funding, visibility drives partnerships, and silence too often buries suffering. If they go, they are accused of exploiting tragedy. If they stay home, they are accused of irrelevance. The standard is not consistency. The standard is hostility. But here is the quiet irony. The louder the outrage, the smaller it looks next to the actual work. While headlines smear, programs continue. While pundits speculate, teenagers receive care. While commentators rehearse their indignation, partnerships move forward. There is something almost desperate in the attempt to frame humanitarian engagement as scandal. Perhaps because impact is harder to mock than personality. On World Teen Mental Wellness Day, the question is not whether Meghan wore the right expression or whether Harry stepped into an embassy residence or not. The question is this: are traumatized teenagers receiving support? Are they? If the answer is yes, then the noise is just that, noise. And history has a way of remembering the work long after it forgets the smear.
This message is for Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Don't you ever handle another ball again. That role is for Princess Catherine, Princess of Wales. She's the ball handler, not you. Takes a real English rose to know how to handle balls, baby. Size be down, but keep the brown balls away from her. Knows how to roll them in her fingers, tickle them. She knows how to tickle balls real good. And knows how to spin balls on her finger. Meghan, you could never. Just stick to being a director, a founder, a philanthropist, a founder, and a businesswoman. Like, you just stick to those things, okay? Because Catherine doesn't have a lot going on for her, and the only thing she's good at is ball handling, and you're trying to take that away from her. You're such a bitch.
So I'm confused on the Sussex humanitarian trips, and I know they do it under Archewell, who partner with who, but then they have a lifestyle brand, but then they go to these other countries and they have a tour. And does the Archewell Foundation pay for all this, including security when they do this? And wouldn't it be better, instead of the money spent touring it and the photo op, just give the organization the actual money? Because if you're not there representing being a duke and a duchess.
You're not confused. You're just stupid and exhausting. But let's fix that real quick, because the Fake Confusion Act is vapid. So you're sitting here asking, what are Harry and Meghan even doing? While they're literally in Jordan, meeting with war-injured children, evacuated from Gaza, visiting refugee camps, working with World Health Organization, partnering with World Central Kitchen, and amplifying humanitarian programs that actually save lives. This information is public, free. Google exists. Journalism exists. Reading exists. Being a bimbo is so 1980. You say it's a photo op? Humanitarian advocacy always required visibility. That's how donations increase. That's how governments pay attention. That's how NGOs get funding. Cameras are not decoration. Cameras are amplification. And let's add something else. Since we're pretending not to understand how foundations work, Archwell donated money to these organizations. This trip included seeing firsthand how those funds were being used on the ground. That's called oversight. That's called accountability. That's what responsible foundations do. You just don't wire money and disappear. You assess impact. You meet partners. You evaluate programs. That is literally how sustainable philanthropy operates. You think they should just wire money and stay home? That tells me you don't understand how global aid works at all. That tells me you've never donated to a charity in your life. Money alone doesn't move policy. Attention does. Influence does. International press does. When globally recognized figures show up, funding spikes, partnerships expand, and organizations get resources they were never getting before. That's measurable. That's documented. That's the reality. And this whole private citizens talking point. Yes, exactly. Private citizens who built a foundation that partners with existing NGOs instead of reinventing the wheel. That's literally best practice philanthropy. Archwell collaborates with groups already on the ground, so resources go further. And let's talk about this obsession with security budgets. Like you're personally auditing their bank accounts. High-profile humanitarian visits require security because extremists exist and public figures attract risk. That cost protects everyone involved, including aid workers and the communities hosting them. You don't see charities doing tours. Wrong again. UNICEF ambassadors do it. WHO advocates do it. Global philanthropists do it. Celebrity advocacy has operated this way for decades. The only difference is you suddenly discovered it when Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, was involved. And the lifestyle brand comment. Be serious. Successful people run businesses and do humanitarian work at the same time. Beyonce runs companies and does philanthropy. Oprah runs media and does philanthropy. Nobody suddenly forgets how charities work unless Meghan's name enters the sentence. What they are doing is called humanitarian diplomacy. They bring attention, media, coverage, donor engagement, and institutional partnerships to crisis most people scroll past. You're confused because you're looking for contradiction that doesn't exist. And the fact that people helping refugees bothers you more than the actual humanitarian crisis says everything. Maybe instead of asking stupid questions, you run to the store and buy yourself a brain. And that's the read. This is the Notorious JTB, notoriously opinionated, signing out.
There is a difference between people who use their spotlight to chase gossip and people who turn the same spotlight towards kids and teens who rarely get seen at all. Harry and Meghan have made a very deliberate choice. Again and again, they've attached their names, their money, and their time to organizations that protect children, support teens, and fight for mental health. So, today, I'll walk you through some of those organizations, what they do, and what the couple has actually done with them. So, we can keep our focus where it belongs on youth and their well being. Well, let's start where, or what I'm going to call the hub, Archwell Foundation, now known as Archwell Philanthropies. So, Archwell is sort of like the center of everything. Archwell isn't just a name on a website, it's the home base. It's what Harry and Meghan built for their work around mental health, families, and youth. Their mission, language is very clear. They want to address the root causes of harm and build long-term solutions, not just one-off charity movement. Through Archwell, they partner with groups working on youth mental health, online safety and social media harms, family and community resilience. When you hear about them funding mental health initiatives, supporting youth that are struggling with the impact of war or trauma, or working around digital wellness, that's Archwell in action. Think of Archwell as the bridge. It connects their platform to organizations that are already doing the heavy lifting for kids and teens. All right, so let's start with Chiva, children and teens living with HIV. Now, imagine being a teenager growing up with HIV, carrying a secret that still carries such stigma. One of the earliest signals Harry and Meghan sent about their priorities came before their wedding, when they asked people not to send gifts, but to donate instead. Among the chosen organizations was Chiva, the Children's HIV Association. Chiva works with over 1,000 children and young people living with HIV in the UK and Ireland, helping them live full, healthy, dignified lives. By placing Chiva on their short list for wedding donations, Harry and Meghan used that global fairy tale moment to say, these kids matter. Their health matters. Their confidence matters. Their future matters. In other words, when the world was obsessed with the dress and the carriage, they quietly redirected attention and money towards some of the most vulnerable youth in society. That's Harry and Meghan. Scotty's Little Soldiers, kids of fallen service members. So, picture a child who has lost a parent in military service. The uniform, the folded flag, and then silence. Scotty's Little Soldiers is a charity that supports children whose parents died while serving in the British Armed Forces. They provide emotional support, community, and fun experiences to kids who are carrying grief that most adults can't even imagine. By choosing Scotty's Little Soldiers as one of their wedding charities also, Harry himself, a veteran, made that connection personal. It wasn't just support the troops, it was support the children of those who served and never came home. That choice turned royal wedding attention into tangible support for bereaved kids and teens trying to rebuild their lives.
Do you remember the last time that the monarchy is radically modernised? It's when you turn royal ceremony inside out, when you present yourself as being an English family rather than a German dynasty. It's when you introduce what seem to be recognisable marriage customs about love and marriage going together like horses and carriages, as opposed to dynastic unions, and playing the card of the family monarchy, all of that stuff. And it worked very well for a stretch of time. Do you think that we are at the point where we need, if it's to survive, another reinvention?
The thing I would say about the monarchy, William is not a very good advertisement for the monarchy, both personally and in terms of any kind of intellectual hinterland. He is going to run the institution of the monarchy into the ground when he becomes king.
Do you remember the last...
Street games, sports, health, and opportunity. Now let's move from grief to grit. Think of a young person growing up in a neighborhood where money is tight, opportunities are scarce, and the streets don't always feel safe. Street games works in exactly those communities, using sports and physical activity to bring health, confidence, and inclusion to young people. They train local leaders, run programs, and help teens use sports as a way out of isolation and into community. By spotlighting street games, Harry and Meghan turned the global buzz around their wedding into a megaphone for youth health and access. They weren't just saying, we care about fitness, they were saying, we care that every young person, no matter their postal code, gets a chance to move beyond and strive. The Wilderness Foundation, UK, healing teens through nature. So let's do this. Close your eyes. No, I mean it. Close your eyes as long as it's safe to close your eyes. And imagine a teenager who feels like the world has written them off. Maybe they've had trouble at school, maybe with the law, or at home. Maybe you were one of those teenagers at one point. Then imagine that same teen taken out into the wild, walking through forests, camping, learning to trust themselves again. That's where the Wilderness Foundation UK comes in. This organization uses outdoor experiences to support vulnerable teenagers, especially in urban areas, giving them time in nature, mentoring, and even pathways into employment connected to the environment. When Harry and Meghan chose Wilderness Foundation as one of their wedding charities, they endorsed a powerful idea. Teen mental health doesn't just live in clinics or classrooms. It can be nurtured in forests, on a mountain, and under open skies. They helped channel donations and visibility to a program that literally walks young people into a different future. Meghan and World Vision, girls and young women. Before she ever became a duchess, Meghan was already working with youth. With World Vision, she traveled to places like Rwanda and India to highlight projects around clean water, education, and girls' empowerment. She sat in classrooms, met girls whose lives were transformed by access to hygiene and schooling, and helped produce campaigns that brought their stories to the global stage. This wasn't a one-day photo op. Her work with World Vision centered on a simple but powerful principle. When you invest in girls and young women, especially in their teens, you change entire communities. That focus on girls, wellness, and an opportunity carried directly into her later work with Archewell, youth, social media, and mental health. Now, let's step into a room full of teenagers and young adults, talking honestly about something that affects nearly all of them: social media. Harry and Meghan have sat with local youth groups to talk about the pressure of being perfect online, the mental health impact of constant comparison, the way social media can amplify bullying, anxiety, and loneliness. These aren't stage speeches, they were conversations. By listening to youth and then amplifying their concerns, the couple tied their public advocacy directly to real teen experiences. They've also been honored by mental health organizations like Project Healthy Minds for their advocacy around mental health, an advocacy that heavily emphasizes youth and young adults' well being. You'll often hear them talk about safe digital spaces, emotional resilience, and the importance of asking for help, all core themes for teen wellness. And then there's the money. That doesn't make gossip, of course, doesn't make the big headlines, but it matters enormously to kids. Prince Harry has directed significant book proceeds, including about 1.5 million from his memoir to children charities that support young people's education, mental health, and futures. These donations are not just symbolic. They translate in programs, in being able to hire new counselors, safe spaces, and opportunities for children and teens who would otherwise go without. It's one thing to talk about supporting youth. It's another to sign over seven-figure sums to organizations doing exactly that. Archwell's broader youth and teen work. If you zoom back out to Archwell again, you see a pattern. Funds, Archwell designate funds to mental health programs that include teens and families. They support initiatives that address online harm and social media impact on young minds. They work with partners in education, social justice, and community support that directly reach children and young people. On days like World Mental Health Awareness, they explicitly call out the youth and family mental health as central to their mission. They consistently frame wellness as collective. What happens to our teens happens to all of us. So, on World Teen Wellness Day, which was yesterday, this podcast was supposed to be up yesterday, but stuff happens. When you hear the usual noise about who sat where, who wasn't invited by this royal, or who had a certain face, right? I always think about this. I always remember that behind the headlines, there is a different story. It's a story of a child living with HIV who finally feels seen, a teenager who lost a parent in service and finds a community that understands, a kid from a tough neighborhood who discovers confidence on a sport court, a vulnerable teen who finds healing in the wilderness, a girl who stays in school because clean water and hygiene products reach her village, a young person who realizes their mental health matters more than their followers or likes on social media. These are the stories Harry and Meghan have chosen to align themselves with. Through Archwell, through donations, and through their time and attention. And if we truly care about teen wellness, then these are the stories we should keep amplifying too. Right? Forget these absurd and stupid headlines, because the UK media will do what the UK media does. They'll use their poisonous pen to write and frame things upside down, to say that certain things are important over other things. Who cares about who had what dress on or who did this or who did that if You're not talking about the real issues. These kids, these young adults that have been in refugee camps for 10, 15 years, that were born there, they don't know any other existence because of war. But of course, the UK media doesn't want to show that. They want to show and create trauma and drama and all this nonsense over absolutely frivolous things. And I wanted just to highlight the charities that they included, right, in their wedding, because I wanted to show that the pattern didn't just happen yesterday. Meghan already was concentrated on focusing on young women, on women, equality, women's rights. And back then, look at where and the charities that they highlighted for people to support, because that has continued. It has continued. Prince Harry's recent £1.1 million personal gift to BBC Children in Need is funding a new youth hub in Nottingham, expanding support for teenagers affected by violence and knife crime, and building on more than a decade of his visits to grassroots projects like the Community Recording Studio in St. Anne's. Through Archewell, he and Meghan have also backed youth-focused mental health and digital safety work, from candid listening sessions with AHA, Santa Barbara teens about social media pressures, to broader campaigns pushing back against predatory platforms targeting children. Their foundation's grant has supported displaced and war-affected youth people as well, including funding for medical evacuations of injured children from Gaza to Jordan via the World Health Organization, and mental health services for displaced kids and aid workers through groups like Humanity Crew and Save the Children. Taken together, this is a track record of sustained investment in youth safety, creativity, and mental health well-being. Yet, much of the UK press prefers to erase these concrete outcomes in favor of sneering commentary and scandalous bait headlines, proving that outrage about Harry and Meghan sells more papers than honest reporting on the youth lives their work is actually changing. Stop buying that crap. Stop clicking on their websites.
5 years ago, we launched this award with the NAACP because we believed that the fight for civil rights didn't end at the doorstep of the digital world. It begins there. And since then, we've honoured 4 extraordinary women: Dr. Sophia Noble, Nabia Syed, Dr. Joy Bonwini, and Dr. Alondra Nelson.
We are incredibly proud of our partnership with NAACP and of what this award represents, that civil rights must evolve as fast as the technology that threatens them.
This year's recipient is someone whose work I find genuinely inspiring: a groundbreaking legal scholar, author, and president of the Cyber Civil Rights Initiative. Her book, Fearless Speech, asks a question that I think matters now more than ever. When powerful people and powerful platforms claim to champion free speech, whose freedom are they actually protecting? Dr. Franks makes the case, and I think she's right, that true free speech should serve democracy, not the interests of those who would dismantle it.
It is our honor to announce that the 2026 NAACP Archewell Digital Civil Rights Award goes to Dr. Marianne Franks, a fearless woman at the forefront of the modern civil rights movement. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
First and foremost, I have to say thank you. I am so frustrated right now, a little bit angry, but I am just centering myself, getting this episode, this podcast out, and this seems to be an issue, and it frustrates me beyond belief because I feel like just grabbing everything and just throwing it against the wall, but I know that will solve absolutely nothing. I recorded most of the podcast, and then when I went to download it from the system, the recording was not attaching to the presentation. I don't know why it wasn't uploading. I tried every single thing I could that I know how to. I looked at Canva, I went on YouTube and see how to resolve the issue, because the only other solution was basically to exit out from the page and redo it. So I did that. I redid it. And every segment I recorded, I downloaded the audio to make sure it attached to each segment or each presentation. And it was going kind of okay. Then it keeps freezing up. Then after freezing up, I resolved that issue. Then at the end, I just finished a 10-minute conversation that I was having with you folks, like just a bit of a rant, really. And then I went to oh, I feel crazy. I went to download it and it would not download. It just would not download. So I had to do the same thing again. I had to delete it. I'm going to cry. Oh, Madonna. Oh, boy. You know what? I'm going to take this as a sign. I'm going to take it as a sign that what I said in those last 10, 15 minutes, maybe the good Lord does not want me to put them on the air. So that's what I'll do. I'll take it as that. I had to take a 10-minute break because I literally felt that I was about to just lose it. Because also, when I said everything will be ready by 10:30 p.m., I had one other thing to do, just one last thing to do. And I was like, yeah, 10:30 is reasonable. It's going to get done. And then all this crap happened. It's past midnight right now, and I'm angry at myself, at the technology, at just everything. And I'm feeling I'm very much so frustrated and disappointed. But I can't dwell in that. I really can't, because what I said a few minutes ago, it was about the sort of petty things we worry about or we get angry or upset about when innocent people and children are losing their lives because of some really ideologically sinful fraud people. All right, I'm going to try and do this closing, and it will not be like what I did 10 minutes ago, obviously. It really was from my heart, and right now I don't know if anything's going to come from my heart right now, because it's just I'm just in a state of mind. Okay, so I'm going to try.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle either need an endorsement from an umbrella company, or they need to create their own umbrella company asexually. Because every time it rains, these two decide to give us an iconic look. Most of us try to run from the rain. I don't know if they're thinking about the tears of their haters, but the umbrella is a great prop for them. Maybe it's because Harry looks like a gentleman when he holds her umbrella, but Meghan has held his too, and it just always looks so romantic. Look, the Mountbatten Windsors and inclement weather are just a vibe. I'm here for it, I cheer for it, and I want more of it.
course, was a story of Umbrella. So, I mean, it is raining, and his first instinct was to go grab the umbrella from his wife, his so-called wife. Of course, she held on to it. Maybe because, I don't know, her hair, her wig, or something might get all messy. So she held on to it. I mean, shouldn't his instinct be go and get an umbrella from an assistant or someone else? I mean, he obviously, after she held on to it and said no, he went and did so. What a great king that one is going to be. Okay, so I must say again, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and watching. I wanted this episode to be sort of centered more on the light, right? As the song says, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Right? Forgive me my singing, but that is what I wanted. With everything happening and with everything just being, I mean, the past couple of days have just been so rough. I've really felt just rough and heavy. You know, I'm not one of those people who are able to compartmentalize things and just forget about it, or you know, it affects me, especially when it has to do with, I mean, people in general, right? So it's sort of I saw this commentary a few days ago, I think, and in the last video that I made, I did talk about these people, these three particular people, but I think maybe Jesus is trying to tell me maybe I shouldn't. So I have this video. Once I find it, I'm going to post it here, where this content creator talks about evil, basically, and she names the three people evil. You just need to figure out who she's talking about. But I think it's pretty obvious, so you folks will figure it out. So hopefully, I can find that again, and I will post it here. So I'll just skip the part that where I talk about all of that and whatever else, and I'll go into the partnership that I did with Sussex Community Event and produced this video. If you haven't seen it, it would be great if you can. I will post a link in the comment section, and you can always click there and see the complete video. But basically, it tells a story about Fauzi, this young teenager, I would say, that is living in one of the refugee camps in Greece, and his story, you know, and it is very tough, actually. As I was doing the video, I had to stop many times because the emotions just kept coming up. And it's a story based on The Me You Can't See. If you haven't watched The Me You Can't See, I could not recommend it more. I'm not a Apple TV subscriber, but for this, I got a free subscription for a couple of days, and I was able to watch it, and it's absolutely incredible. To Me You Can't See. So if you can watch it, I wish they were able to make this stuff available to everyone, and you didn't have to subscribe to Apple TV or something like that, because I think everyone should be able to watch it, really. So Fauzi is in one of those camps, and I don't know if you folks remember that, I don't want to say iconic, but that horrible picture many years ago, or a few years ago, where I think it was the father, oh, I'm going to get emotional, holding the lifeless body of his baby, of his baby. People think, because there's so many people who are behind what is happening right now, where things are falling down on people and killing them. War has consequences. And for many of us who live in this part of the world, that we are watching this happening on television, sometimes it doesn't look real. Sometimes it just looks like a video game. Sometimes I think we are becoming desensitized to all of this, because it literally looks like a video game, and we have seen this sort of thing before. But there are lives there, there are people there, there are mothers, there are fathers, there are children. And it's just devastating. These men have made decisions that will affect the lives of people. The refugee camps that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex went to in Jordan, people have been there for so many years. People have been born there. Can you imagine? You are living your life. You go to bed and you wake up the next day and your city is being bombed. Your town is being bombed. Nothing that you did, no decision that you made, but it's being bombed. So you pack everything you own, as much as you can, with your family, and you leave. You go to one place and they're bombing that place too. You go to another, they're bombing that too. So you go to the border, cross into another country where you hope to find safety. You cross there into another land. They accept you, but you can't go into the general population. They create this sort of area that is called now a refugee camp. And they do that for many reasons. And you think, well, this war is not going to last forever, maybe a month, maybe two. But then a year passes, 2 years pass, 3, 4, 5, 15 years pass. The people who make these decisions to drop bombs on your city, on your country, they are long gone. They are no longer in power. They've moved on. They've made millions upon billions of dollars. Them and their friends, their wealthy friends who profit off of war. They have their private jets. They have their islands. And we know what happens on their islands. They go to their fancy parties and fancy dinners. They don't have a care in the world. And they have affected the lives of millions. Unspoken. While the lives of innocent people have been changed forever. And for what? Ideology, greed. It's very telling. It's very telling that the first bomb, one of the first bombs that they dropped it on a school for girls. They dropped it on a school for girls, killing all the girls. But they repeatedly say to us, they don't target schools, they don't target hospitals, and guess what they've been doing? They've been targeting schools and hospitals. They said the same thing on that other land, on that land prison. They said, no, we don't target schools and hospitals. How many times did we not see them bomb the schools, bomb the hospitals? And then they would say, oh, well, that was a mistake. We're going to look into it. Or they said, oh, well, there were militants hidden there. Oh, there's this underground tunnel going somewhere. And then they would go into the hospital and they wouldn't find a thing. But babies died, mothers died, people died. When doctors desperately took the almost the fragile little babies and brought them outside the hospital and said, we're trying to save these little babies. Please don't bomb us. And the next day, they bombed the hospital. Consequences. There's none for these people. There's none because the world does not hold them accountable. Doesn't. At least in this life, there's no consequences for these people. And they have changed the life of millions. Millions. And they've taken the life of thousands. Thousands. It's also absolutely disgraceful. It's like there is no justice. You know, I watched the mockery of them questioning Hillary Clinton in her testimony in regards to those files and whether she knew that man or not. And the mockery of the person asking Hillary Clinton questions about Pizzagate. We all know that Pizzagate was this invented thing and the consequences of it. And still someone in power to make a mockery of Hillary Clinton is asking her about what did she know about Pizzagate. Dragging Hillary Clinton once again. I'll tell you something. Until they find something on that woman, until they're able to show me, I have the utmost respect for that woman. I may not agree with everything she's done or said or whatever, but I have the utmost respect for that woman. Because every time something happens, they drag her. They just drag her along. And for what? For the hatred they have. And I'll tell you something. I don't care what people say, what they say. These people hate women. They literally hate women. And they hate women. I'll tell you how I know that. Because the things they can't do or say to an adult woman, they do it to a child. They do it to a young girl. They do it to a child because they cannot do it to an adult woman. And that is why they continue to take away rights from women. That is why. And the saddest thing to me is that women are helping them do this. Women are helping them do this.
Does anybody else see the irony in two evil men getting rid of another evil man who really, when you break it down, was doing the same evil stuff as the two evil men? And that in getting rid of the evil man, because they didn't want the evil man to have the same things that both of those evil men had, because the two evil men are allowed to have them, but not the other evil man, when really nobody should have them. And that the two evil men kind of tried this out before, claiming that the people that they were fighting against were doing bad things, when really the evil men are also doing bad things. And in getting rid of the one evil man because they claim that that one evil man wasn't following rules, when the two evil men, or really the one, because the one is mandated to, not only go through the process within his own country before going to war, but also following the rules that a bunch of countries all agreed on, but he didn't follow those rules, because why would he? And that in trying to get rid of the one evil man, ended up having children as collateral damage, which really was the same thing that happened when the one other evil man was doing evil things, and the other evil man was supporting that. But I guess it's not ironic, because the other evil man, well, he doesn't give a shit about children in his own country. He's up on some really serious allegations involving children. And there's a connection between those two evil men and another evil man and some files. And they're all kind of connected. And that when you look at a lot of the things that the one evil man that they got rid of was doing within his own country, suppressing of the press, going after people that spoke out against him, a whole bunch of bad stuff. That one of the evil guys now is doing that very same thing. It just looks different, but it's the same thing. And so it makes you wonder that if two evil men dislike one other evil man, but when you break it all down, each one of those men is doing similar things. Does that make them all evil men? And therefore, potentially subject to the outcome of the one evil man. And that's why they've partnered up for a bunch of other reasons too, allegedly. Because really, I don't think the two evil men care a lot about what was happening within the country of the other evil man. Like, I don't think they cared about how he was treating his people, governing by religion. I really just think they cared that the evil man has a lot of supplies that the two other evil men want, and one supply that the two evil men don't want anybody else having. And that's why they did this. Because the timing seems a little bit suspicious. Nothing really major's happened for quite some time. And there are so many discussions about, the files. And now the only thing that we see on the news is the war. I just think it's interesting. Evil begets evil. And when two evils are pointing at another evil, are they really pointing out differences? Or are they really looking in the mirror, seeing the things that they don't like, and never really having the insight to know that they are also evil? Pure evil. Just me? All right.
Well, my beautiful people, I had to take a break there. I was getting a little bit too worked up. So, anyways, bottom line is that the world continues to be upside down, inside out. And, there are people in this world that are doing their absolute best to make sure that we keep that little light shining. And the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, that is what they do. That is what they do. And that is why there is so much noise around them. Because there are people in this world that are poisonous. There are people in this world who are evil. And people who use their poisonous pen, who write evil. They take that pen and they want to see your light, the light of the Duke and the Duchess of Sussex, to diminish, to turn off, to disappear. They want us to have no hope. They want us to not see joy, to be happy, to love, to celebrate. But once again, that's what the Duke and the Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan, keep showing us. This past couple of days, as I was thinking of what should I speak to you folks about, and as I was looking at some of the commentary and reading and watching some of those shows, I just kept thinking, all of this is so stupid, so absolutely stupid. Whether Princess Beatrice and Eugenie are banned from attending Royal Ascot, who cares? Who cares? It's all nonsense. Nonsense. Whether or not Meghan is allowed to kick a ball or not allowed to kick it, whether or not, is this a quasi-royal tour? It's not no quasi-royal nothing. It's two people who care. And that insane, idiotic, mindless woman that want to associate the Sussexes with that group, I can't help thinking that, there might be more to that than what we are being led to believe or what is being shown to us. Because, not to be a conspiracy kind of person, but did someone from a certain country give her a call and say, hey, we want you to say this, because they were upset that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex went and spoke with people at a refugee camp who were from Gaza, from Syria? I mean, really? So I say this. I say that this is the light of mine. This is the light of yours. Let's continue to letting it shine. Let's continue to make it shine even brighter. That is what I want. That is what I wish. That is what I know the Duke and Duchess of Sussex would want us to do, to keep on letting our little light shine as bright as it can. As bright as it can. So here's a quick little thing that I saw. I mean, take it for what it's worth. And when we come back, I'll say my goodbyes.
King Charles is reportedly offering Prince Harry and Meghan Markle a new home in the UK, Royal Lodge. The king is said to be looking to bury the hatchet after years of tension, viewing this as the ultimate olive branch to bring his son back into the fold. The property is currently sitting empty after Charles evicted Prince Andrew late last year. It's a move that likely won't go down well with the disgraced former prince. He lived there for 20 years and is reportedly unhappy at his temporary home Wood Farm, which he allegedly described as beneath him. Whether Harry and Meghan will actually take the keys, however, remains to be seen. King Charles is reportedly offering...
And just as I was about to do my closing, this popped up. So I thought, all right, so I'll just bring it forward. And our wonderful friends at Feminegra, what they've got here, what they're reporting. So Daily Mail royal editor denies using private investigator to blag Prince Harry information. Liar, liar, pants on fire, allegedly. So let me just read quickly here what they say. At the High Court this week, the machinery of British tabloid royal ecosystem was placed under uncomfortable light. Rebecca English, royal editor of the Daily Mail, denied ever using a private investigator to unlawfully obtain information about the Duke of Sussex or his former girlfriend. Shown a series of emails during Prince Harry's case against the Associated Newspapers Limited, ANL, English insisted she had neither requested nor acted upon acted upon improperly sourced material. The allegations center on Mike Beer, a South African-based private investigator. English told the court she understood him to be a freelance journalist who could help on Africa stories. Yet emails presented by David Sherborne, lead counsel for the claimant, painted a more complicated picture. One 2007 email sent to English and copied to a journalist at The Sun contained precise flight and seat details for Chelsea Davy, then in a relationship with Prince Harry. Beer asked whether the reporters could plant someone next to her. The Guardian reports that Sherborne argued that someone accessed the airline's computer system to obtain the information, securing it through blagging, the unlawful extraction of confidential data. English said she did not remember, of course you don't, the email and did not request the information. Bear was never asked for anything like this, ever, she told the court. That is something I would never even consider doing now or then. When asked about the suggestion of placing someone beside Davy on the flight, English described it as an absolutely shameful suggestion, emphasizing that there was no reply from her, which she argued demonstrated she had not seen or acted on the message. My dear, there's telephones. The court examined further emails from 2006 and 2014. In one, Beer discussed billing arrangements and wrote that he had billed Rebecca £200 for half the cost. In another, he argued that a £350 payment for Harry work did not reflect the risk involved, adding that extra payment was warrant, not for time spent, but for going out on the limb. Sherborne suggested this referred to bribes and unlawful data access. English rejected that interpretation, saying payments were day rates and that the later exchange related for monitoring a charity trek in Antarctica. She repeatedly described allegations that she commissioned blagged information as absolutely untrue. Absolutely untrue. ANL denies all wrongdoing and maintains its journalist was legitimate. Its journalism was legitimate. Okay, folks. Okay, so here we are. You know, in this world that feels increasingly upside down and inside out, with wars, corruption, and cruelty screaming for our attention, I am so grateful. Oh boy. I am so grateful that this little corner exists. A space where kindness still matters, where love is still the most important thing, where we choose empathy over apathy and light over noise. I thank you. I really, really mean this. I thank you for the privilege of being part of your journey, for inviting me into your day ever so often, your home, your heart. I thank you for being such a beautiful part of my journey. You just being here, your comments, your quiet support means the world to me. And I say it all the time, and I do mean it. It means the world to me. There's another channel that I've got that I've sort of abandoned for over a year plus. It's called Hey Person on the Moon. I think I got that right. I'm going to revamp it a little bit because I think now more than ever we need a place also to go to just meditate, to just relax, to just listen to maybe music for 4 or 5 minutes that will just calm us down. And that is what that channel means. That channel is about inspiration. It's about meditation. It's about finding your center and sort of blocking out all the noise and being whole within yourself. So look out for that for the next couple of days. I'm going to start to put some new content on there, and I will let you know also through this channel. My beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people. As I say goodbye to you this episode, I leave you with a song I wrote, Carry the Light. May it remind you that even in the wildest, darkest times, your light, come on, your light is needed. Your love is powerful. And together, we can still carry the light forward. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to your loved ones. And to that stranger crossing your path, be kind to them too. I love you all so very much, and God bless. Until we speak again.
Heavenly Father, we breathe you in. Grateful for breath beneath our skin. For strength that holds when knees feel weak. For quiet mercy when we cannot speak. The world feels heavy on our chest. Relentless headlines steal our rest. Innocent hearts empowers fire. And we grow numb. We grow tired, but the word still whispers through the night. A promise older than the fight. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness won't win. No shadow can consume the fire within. We will not be overcome. We will not let it dim. us brave. Not for blindness, not for sleep, but courage that runs deep. Guard our hearts from turning cold, from letting our rage lose its soul. Let grief still feel, let hope remain. Let love outlive the pain.
Don't let evil teach us fear. Don't let darkness settle here. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness won't win. No shadow can consume the fire within. We will not be overcome. We will not let it dim. If we must walk through the valley, we'll carry the light with us in. Diminish us. The light shines in the dark, and the darkness won't win. No fear can silence the strength within. We will not be overcome. We will not let it dim. Through every shadow we're walking, still carrying light from
darkness never wins.